So this is Baruch Flashman, and I'm going to mark over here that this is the Torah that we're going to be learning on the first day of Sivan. 5783. Now, this is much better, this English translation, than I thought. I think maybe in the early publications, which I originally had, was missing a lot that I really needed, but this seems like really Rebbe Kramer has really brought in some tremendous stuff over here. So, we're talking like this is that it's possible that Rebbe Nachman, one of the aspects of Rebbe Nachman is the aspect, I think, of song, the song of Kedusha. And all aspects of Breslev that I've seen really have a lot to do with singing and dancing. Different emphasis for different people. But basically the concept of the music of the Torah is really part of the concept of Rebbe Nachman. So over here he's talking about when you listen to the song of someone who is really sexually and physically unclean, then you're really going to have a bad influence on the person that's listening to us, which is really pretty much all of the music that you hear in the Gentile world, which I grew up with and I know it all. And coming over that you also is Menagen, a person who's a musician who is really pure and really trying to get close to Hashem. That has a tremendous effect on people as well, to the good. So now over here I see that we're going to get into some more deeper level of Kabbalah. Understand what happens that through song, or the use of the voice now he's going to come to, and understand this a little bit better. So let's read across the top, and then we'll come over and we'll look at what's down below and see if we can understand this. Now, one of the things that Rebbe Nachman emphasizes most to his Talmidim is the study of Mishnayos. The study of Mishnayos has to do with the number 6. Those are 6 orders of the Mishnah. So we have to understand what is the power of the Mishnah. The letter Vav is the number 6. So the letter Vav is the 3rd letter in the Tetragrammaton. It is Yud, Ke, Vav. And it is a connection of flow. It's also the sign of Ruach. Ruach goes with music and the same kind of idea. There's a difference between a song and the words of the song. Let's come over here and see what this edition of the Likutei Maharan wants to teach us. By studying the 6 orders of the Mishnah, a person rectifies the 6 rings of the windpipe via which the voice emerges. So he's saying like this, with improper motivation on our part, it actually has an origin inside of our heart, which is our desire to express something. And it goes through the 6 rings of the windpipe and produces sound. That sound could be translated into letters and then words and then possibly either something good or something that is bad. And this is where we're going at here at a deeper level. This is what we rise in this. We have over here this pasuk. It says, "Rise, sing out in the night." Song is raised up by means of the night. What's the night? 6 orders of the Talmud. Now, let's see if he can explain that more, but basically the Talmud represents the Torah Shabbal Peh, that is the oral Torah, which is learned at nighttime. And not only at nighttime, but it's a nighttime, its metaphor is for nighttime. Another metaphor is that it represents Malchus. So Malchus is also a concept of a darker place, something that has no light in it of its own. So let's see what he says. He has some very interesting things here, and let's see what we can try to piece these together and learn something. 6 orders of the Mishnah. The 6 Mishnayos order are, now he labels them. There's Royim, which are the laws of prayer, blessings, and agriculture. Moed, which is the laws of Shabbos and the festivals. Noshim, laws of marriage, divorce. Nezikin, which was civil and criminal law. Kodshim, laws of the holy temple and the sacrifices. And Taharos, laws of purity and impurity. In total, the Mishnah contains 60 tractates. There are actually 63, but the 3 tractates of Baba Kama, Baba Batzim, Baba Basra are counted as 1. And Avos, which is actually added on because it did not contain any laws, is saying very important ones, is not included in the tally of the 60 tractates of law. Now, Rebbe Nachman here speaks of the 6 orders of the Mishnah, and below there's another mention. He mentions the 60 tractates of the Talmud. The fact that we do not have Talmudic tests for every tractate suggests that rectification begins with the study of Mishnah. So the rectification for the 6 rings, which he's about to explain, has to do with the throat, has to do with the 6 orders of the Mishnah, which is the essence of the oral law. Afterwards, one should add Talmud to one's study, that is, study Mishnah and Talmud together. The reason for this is that while the Mishnah states the law, it does not analyze or explores its many details, because it's a variation from this place to the next place, whether it's up and down, high or low, all different kinds of views of how the law could be applied. This is the function of the Talmud, to examine the source of the Mishnah while analyzing and clarifying the law. Therefore, the Bir HaLikutim, which is a commentary on the Likutei Maharan, adds the main areas of study nowadays are the Shulchan Aruch, which is really a basic statement of what the halachos are, and the hidden teachings of the Torah, which are Kabbalah. The connection between them is indicated by the Shulchan Aruch itself, because the Shulchan Aruch, the Baal Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo, was a Kabbalist as well, which states Mishnah should be the primary area of study, and if one has merited insight into the Kabbalah, then the most propitious study for this study is after midnight. That's just a little thing that he brought over here. Let's look a little bit more. I brought in this idea of the rings of the windpipe. So let's go on and let's see what this says. He says the rings of the windpipe, voice emerges. This statement is a combination of 2 separate teachings. Now, what does he mean? He had this sound that he said by studying the 6 orders, this person rectifies the 6 rings of the windpipe, from which voice emerges. So he says the Talmud, it's a Gemara in Brachos, states that the windpipe, the trachea, emits the voice. The Zohar states that the windpipe has 6 rings, 3 pairs of cartilage in the larynx. Now these correspond to the 6 spheros found in Zer Anpin, which are Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod. So thus it is from the windpipe's 6 rings that the voice emerges, because Zer Anpin is the concept of voice. So he says, studying the 6 orders of the Talmud, Rebbe Nachman explains, rectifies these 6 rings because we do, from time to time, speak Lashon Hara. And when we do that, we need a rectification. This is because reciting the Talmud while studying is in essence engaging in holy speech. His speech, now speech is different than voice or singing or just sound. The sound of the voice is Zer Anpin, that's the male attribute, which is inside of the female attribute, which is speech itself, words. His speech was his malchus is thus purified. And the source of his speech, his voice, is rectified as well. He can then make use of his voice to arouse his das and inflame his heart, by means of which he comes closer to God. So then Reb Nosson adds onto this, explains that the written law corresponds to the voice, which is Zer Anpin, as we said before, or Zer Anpin is the concept of kol. Just the pure vibration corresponds, he says, whereas the oral law corresponds to speech. Although the sound that the voice produces is the root of all speech, it is lacking in definition, and this gives you an understanding of the Kabbalistic concept of Malchus. Because what Malchus does is defines and categorizes. So the same can be said of the written law. The laws it prescribes lack clarification and specificity. This clarification of the written law only comes with the study of Talmud, the oral law. As such, oral law resembles speech, which gives definition, i.e. rectification, to the voice. So that the speech is the proper speech, and the words are coming out. They go backwards onto what's inside of it, onto the voice itself, and clarify it, and bring out the goodness that is there. This is Baruch Fleischman, and we're going to stop right here on this shir and move on.